Hi, everybody. I'm Otto Lee, Clara County Supervisor of District 3. Thank you for having me speak with you today at our 14th annual Clara County Children's Summit. As Supervisor, I have been learning about these diverse needs of our county, and none more so than the needs of our youngest county residents, our children. I personally have three daughters of my own, and so in speaking on the issues that affect our children, it really becomes personal with me. My staff and I have gone through the numbers and reviewed the concerns gathered by our county offices, and today I would just like to share with you what I've learned and what my vision in addressing the needs of our youth. Beginning with childcare and early learning, the County Office of Education released an early learning facility study that reported that there are nearly 32,000 children ages 0 to 5 years in our county that are in need of, yet do not have access to licensed and quality childcare. These disparities disproportionately affect families who reside in parts of my district, which are Milpitas, North Sunnyvale, and East San Jose, and also other parts in the county that are cause for concern. When childcare and education provide cited 1. Lack of space, 2. Issues finding a site, 3. Lack of local or state funding, 4. Issues obtaining a license, and 5. Local zoning and land use restrictions. As the barriers to expanding access, it frustrates me that these barriers are what limits parents and their children in getting licensed and quality childcare. I take these findings from the early learning facility study very seriously and then informs my office to further engage with the broader community in thoughtful planning for a cohesive and coherent approach in breaking down these barriers so that we can meet the high unmet need for infant toddler care and preschool. I really want to bring back attention to a map produced by the Office of the Superintendent for the Santa Clara County Office of Education that visually struck me on how dire the situation is. If we can bring together local elected officials, city planning and development commissions, housing developers, businesses, school districts, childcare providers, and all other stakeholders, we can make this whole map at least one shade lighter. COVID has not made the issues of access any better for those in childcare and early learning. And for older children in elementary and middle schools, the impact has also been quite significant. The continued disruption of the pandemic has impacted our county greatly, and for my daughters, as well as many other children, they have been pushed to adapt during these troubling times. While many college students are going to Zoom University, I can attest that my youngest daughter is going to Zoom Elementary. Our house has become a virtual classroom. I could tell you how different and even difficult it was in the early days when we were transitioning to a whole new form of learning. Like many concerned parents, I can imagine all of the questions that we're having on the outcomes of having everything taught online, and I would like to share some recent studies that can help shed some light on that. The Policy Analysis for California Education, PACE, examined 250,000 oral reading fluency scores for students in first and third grade in over 100 school districts across 22 states and found annual gains in oral reading fluency were 26% lower than expected based on prior years for the second graders and 33% lower for the third graders. Even with improvements in online distance learning, the data tells us that students are falling behind and suffering emotionally from prolonged isolation. That's why I have advocated for our teachers and school staff to be vaccinated so that our schools can be reopened safely. With more aggressive and new strains of the coronavirus, we need to make sure both our teachers and students come back in a safe learning environment. The need to provide accessible and affordable childcare and early learning education for families and their children cannot be overstated when we consider how many youths have entered our juvenile justice system. The robust body of research out there clearly suggests that there's a strong relationship between participating in childcare and early learning education and a reduction in interacting with the juvenile and criminal justice systems later on in life. Multiple observational studies have found that when the child benefits from these programs, they are then less likely to become teenage parents, dependent on welfare, and less likely to engage in criminal activity as teenagers and as adults. Ultimately, when we fail to provide families with these necessary support systems, what we're actually doing is failing our children. It seems to me that the best way to disrupt the school to prison pipeline in the long run is to invest in these programs and ensure we have the systems in place to help families and the children thrive from the very start. At the same time, we must work diligently to improve our existing juvenile justice system. Thankfully, we're on the right track. Last year, Governor Newsom signed Senate Bill SB 823, setting us on a path to close down the Department of Juvenile Justice at the statewide level and move away from a punitive model of incarcerating youth into one that is truly rehabilitative in nature. Among other things, SB 823 moves the oversight of the juvenile justice system away from the adult correctional system to the Health and Human Services Department, reflecting a change in how we support justice-involved youth. A change that recognizes and prioritizes the socio-economic well-being and the growth of our children. I remain committed to engaging our community and our partners to improve the life of our youngest leaders in Santa Clara County. We must be open to new innovative ideas, as well as looking at the current programs that are working with our young adults. From education to our court system, the existing infrastructures like school-linked services. I end with a final quote. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future, from President Franklin D. Roosevelt. And thank you for listening.